everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Burke.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
Men, manly men. Manly men.
Hey, we went back to a TV theme this time instead of something else crazy.
Well, I thought it was I thought it was appropriate.
It works.
And I'm Michelle.
Speaking of Michelle could not make it this week, unfortunately. And
who the hell was that?
And we picked up.
Who knows?
We picked up someone else to join us for this podcast. Michael, would you like to say hi?
Hello.
Mike's going to join us for this podcast here because we decided this topic deserved, since it was all men in this podcast this week, we are going to talk about manly things. And I couldn't think of yes, and I couldn't think of any other person to pull in besides Mike that would be better for this type of conversation. So
we tried to get Tim Allen.
He
was unavailable.
He was very busy at this time,
yeah.
And he couldn't make it in.
Yeah, it's good that Mike's here. He's kind of like the manly version of me, I guess, in that case there. It's the opposite side of the coin.
So I heard you guys, you were having some fun recently, speaking of this manly stuff.
Yes, so I've been trying to up my man game lately, and by that I mean I don't take that out of context. No, I've been trying to do some things that are a bit more like hands-on and that sort of thing. And I like that show Dual Survival. Have you guys ever seen that?
I have not.
Oh, yeah.
What's Dual Survival?
Dual Survival is a show that they do on Discovery where basically they send two guys out into different types of terrain, whether it be like, forests or whatever, all over the world is where they send them. And they have to go out and they teach you how to survive, how to build shelters, make fire, hunt, that kind of thing. But it's all just basically designed around teaching. So, I mean, the reality of it is you don't actually think for a moment these guys are like, oh my God, if we don't drink this water, we're going to die. But it's definitely there to teach you like, hey, here's how to purify the water when you get to it. So I like that show a lot. But what I've been doing is after I've watched that show for a long time, I kind of decided that I needed to stop watching and start doing. So for my birthday, my dad got me a whole bag of survival tools.
Candy corn. Oh,
yes, candy corn. Exactly, the ultimate survival tool. But in that bag, among other things, is a dry box that contains a sparker. So basically, what I'm doing is by hand, I'm throwing sparks into tinder bundles and lighting fires lately, and it's been a ton of fun.
No.
So that reminds me, Emily and I were watching a show and I was like, hey, I have a knife that does that, and I pulled it out on our coffee table and started making sparks into a napkin. She goes, what are you doing? I was like, start creating a fire.
Yeah, just throwing fire or throwing sparks. Like it's a ton of fun. And so what I've done is as of right now I've lit 1, 2, 3 4 fires from
4 houses.
Yeah, 4 houses. I'm an arsonist. This is my confession, But the point is, I lit 4 fires from just supplies in mine and other people's yards. Like you walk around and you grab different types of like long grass, dead things. And basically, it's a whole process, and I've been having so much fun with it that I recently brought it over to our friend Brett's. You guys remember him, so
basically you burned down your own house and now you're working your way over to somebody else's house to burn down
environments. Exactly. So the point is that the cops were on my trail, but the point is I brought the stuff over there, and him, myself, and Tony spent a night trying to light a fire, and of course it had rained the day before, so everything is wet, and we're trying our best to do all this stuff. It was hilarious to see because those guys had never seen it before, and it was their first time messing around with it. But it was already getting dark. It was toward the later on in the evening, and I'm like, boy, I'm probably not going to be able to get this thing lit because it's so wet. I just can't do it. I don't have the skill for it. And I look over, and suddenly they have a fire going, and it goes out. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys had it going. That's amazing. How do you do that? They go, oh, well, I guess it's just really dry or blocking the wind or whatever. So they go back down and start working on it. I'm working on mine. And all of a sudden I look over and boom, they got another fire going. I'm like, what the hell? They got it twice. I'm like, these guys are on a roll. It goes out. Third time it goes up. They finally get, throw in the actual pit. Everything lights on fire and there's a roaring fire by the time later on in the evening. And I turn to them and I'm like, man, isn't it awesome that you made a fire with your bare hands or whatever? And they look at me with this kind of sheepish look and go, I have to admit we cheated. We used a lighter and we were actually just clicking the thing, making it sound like sparks. I'm like, you sons of bitches.
I knew that was coming.
I knew. Knowing those two, I was like, yeah, that's for sure not them doing it.
No way. Yeah, they cheated.
awesome.
They cheated so hard. I'm like, you cheated yourself out of a man opportunity.
That's something I've never really done all that much, is tried to light my own fire. Granted, the only time I've been camping, and trust me, I use the Dr. Evil quotes for that one. When I went camping, I mean, I was within throwing distance of the RV that my grandparents were in that had satellite TV. So it's not like I was really that far out there. And that was never anything I ever did, was kind of roughing it to where I had to make a fire.
It was a controlled environment, but it was still like you were outside. Like you didn't turn tail and run inside like they did, essentially. Just saying, throwing them under the bus.
Wow.
Well,
Or the
I'm sure
RV.
Burke used to do it all the time too. Back when you were a kid, and did you use a magnifying glass to start fires and stuff
yeah.
all
yeah.
the time, just burn things into pieces of wood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, who
that's
had
a
a
classic.
magnifying glass as a child?
Me.
Me.
I suppose I did, although Mike clearly used it and I didn't.
That was something I saw
That's
in cartoons, was people lighting things on fire. Like they would put it to the center of a character, the center of their forehead, and start burning their forehead. That was the
you're thinking of
extent
just
of
straight
my
up Toy Story. You're literally just thinking of Toy Story in the
No,
scene where he lights
they did
Woody's
that. They
forehead.
did that in Looney Tunes cartoons. I've got the whole run of Looney Tunes cartoons, and I watch them at night sometimes, and they've done it there.
Oh, okay.
I know that much.
Actually,
So-
quite an effective way of starting a fire.
It really is. They
Does
talked
it
about
work
it
at
on the
nighttime
show.
with the moon?
No,
not
it doesn't.
Not so much.
Moonlight doesn't light things. Damn.
I know.
Yeah, no.
So my parents got me this little bug kit one time, and it was this little, plastic jar that had holes so the bug didn't die, but also the top of it was a magnifying glass. Well, I soon learned, once I learned that what the bugs look like, I learned what they look like on fire.
Oh yeah. If you didn't spend a little bit of your time burning ants in the driveway, the magnifying glass, and something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with me
There's
then.
something wrong with me too, and that's why Mike's here. Is because it's the opposite side of the coin, where I would look outside and see him doing that and be like, "That's weird. Why would you do that?"
about the best thing I guess you could technically say I did, quote, again, not even best, I don't know what the word I want to use is, I killed plenty of animals and bugs because I'd put them in enclosures and then leave them there for days and not feed them.
Oh dear.
Because I was like 4 and 5 years old, and I'd grab like a frog.
Bug Guantanamo.
The Hotel California.
Yeah, I'd sit there and I'd grab it because there was a creek that ran through my backyard when we lived over in Swartz Creek in Michigan. There's a creek that ran through our backyard. It was part of our property. And I'd go back there and there was always frogs. And so I'd grab a frog every once in a while. I was like, I'm going to have this frog as a pet. And I'd put it in a plastic container with holes in it. And then I just wouldn't feed it because I'm stupid and I'm like 4 years old and not thinking about that.
See,
The frog's dead.
At least
Dump
you're
it out in
braver
the
than me,
river.
man. At least you were able to pick up the frogs. I would be like, no. I'm like, if I saw movement in the water, I'd freak out.
The water was about maybe ankle deep, so it wasn't like you're really getting in there into a deep something. But
Oh, I figured with all those frogs in there, it would be knee deep, knee deep.
Oh,
Nice pun, sir.
oh my lord!
Yeah, that's right. Michelle leaves and the bad puns come out.
And the puns come out.
Yeah. So clearly, there's a lot of talk of manliness going on here. So, what would you consider to be like your, I'm going to call it manliest moment then?
So I got one. I'm just going to start
No,
talking on
please,
this one
please.
because I was thinking of this earlier and it fits perfectly. So there was a time when I think it was Craig, Mike, and I don't know if you participated in this, but is where we had the app Places I've Pooped. And
He is. Of course.
So it was
Great app.
So, we'd share, here's a new place. Well, there was a time where I was hiking and was camping outside and climbed a 14,000 foot mountain in Alaska, and nature called on the top of the mountain. So, needless to say,
you're king of the mountain.
I'm king of the mountain. I found a marmot hole that was up top, and that's what I pooped in because it's all rocks.
In the marmot hole. What the fuck, man?
They were all out in the middle of the day. I kind of felt a little bit bad, but I was like, "There's no holes to dig." It's in the Rocky Mountains, and for those of you who haven't ever either driven up Pikes Peak or seen them, they are rocky. It is straight rocks at the top of the mountain. So yeah, you just kind of moved, found a hole, and I squatted down, and yeah.
And then you wrote a book about it called My Side of the Mountain.
My slide.
Oh no,
that was good.
Oh
That's
man.
good.
Well, what about you guys? Or about Craig or Mike? There. What is your manliest moment?
Oh sheesh. I seriously have no idea because, here's the thing about me. As I've told on this podcast before, and these guys here in the podcast know, my quote manliness was always very, very subpar comparatively to everybody else's because all I did in childhood was sports. Like that's pretty much all I did. It was sports every night of the week. It was homework and then sports. And my dad knew nothing about handiwork or cars or any of that stuff. So like none of that got passed down to me through that, and then my extracurricular activities were, oh my gosh, I finally get to play some video games or watch TV. And so I'd do that then. So the amount of manliness that I have is very suboptimal. So I'll give this story, which is going to be the anti-manliness story. There was a time when I was driving home from Brian's house. And it was pretty early in the morning. I would say like probably 2 or 3 in the morning. Would you say, Brian?
Yeah, I would say around
something
that.
like that. And it was in the wintertime in Michigan. And Brian has a hill near his house that you have to go down when you're trying to leave the subdivision. And so when I'm leaving the subdivision, I'm in a big black SUV, and I hit it was a sheet of ice going down. I'm going about 3 miles an hour, and then I started picking up speed, even though I was hitting the brakes. So I'm like pumping the brakes, trying to get anything. Doesn't matter. I'm on ice. I'm not stopping whatsoever. And I slide straight down, and I smoke this row of mailboxes. Just take all of them out, like one by one, like flop, 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 flop. And they're all like on one big piece. How many mailboxes are on there, Brian?
4
mailboxes on this one, like big long postish type thing. And so I won't even go into what was going on that night. Not that I was drinking or anything, but like the after events of that, of trying to figure it out. But it ends up, we weren't going to get any like charges or anything pressed on me or whatever you want to call it, any destruction of property. We just had to come back out and fix it. I had to come back out and fix it, excuse me. But my friends were gracious enough to say that they were going to help me, even through Brian's dad's opposal of it, because he was like, he broke it. Why the hell are you guys going out there to help him? And I think the story, tells why I had to go out there, or why they had to come out and help me. We got out there, and I'm starting to try and nail this thing together. And Brian is like on the snow laughing at me trying to hammer shit in, because that's seriously probably the third time I ever held it. This is what were we, like 19 at the time?
Yeah.
Roughly 19 within a year of 19. So somewhere between 18 and 20. That's probably the third time I've ever held a hammer in my life. And the other 2 were probably jokes. Me pulling out the hammer, acting like I was going to hit somebody. So this is literally the first time I think I've ever tried to drive a nail into something. And I had not built up the fine motor skills to do that.
I mean, literally, I'm not good with a hammer, but comparatively, I'm Al Borland to his it was the most comical thing, because he would literally line it up, go, all right, here we go, you son of a bitch, I'm going to drive this nail straight. One hit, the nail goes, bends over, and then he would hit it so hard that it would literally jam that bent over version of it into the flat part of the wood. So it was just buried in there forever. To this day, it's there.
There's no good touch.
Wow.
There's no good anything. And at the very end of it, it looked like the most. I guarantee you the guy was probably pissed off. Like, why the hell did I have them do this? They didn't take it seriously. When in fact, I was taking it dead serious. I just literally don't know how to do it well.
Oh yeah, and then we had to try to dig the post holes and everything. It was just it was literally the funniest thing in the. Oh yeah, it was nightmare.
Terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
Oh my god. Well, I'll tell you. The only thing that I could say that in my head of like, aside from the fire thing of like where I was like, yeah, that was a manly moment or whatever, was like a feat of strength. Okay, so what had happened is that my dad has a very large boat. It's 48 foot, so it's a very, very, very big boat. So we were on it. It was one of the first years that he had it, and he was trying to pull it into the slip, but he wasn't quite great at parking it yet. So as it came in at a weird angle, and he was going to ram into the dock. And so what I did was I ran around the side of the boat, put myself with my back against the boat and my hands out, and pushed against one of the pylons that were there, the giant pillars that come out of the water. For those of you who don't, one of those, and literally had to essentially like bench press the boat away from the dock. And it was one of those things. I literally was just like screaming out, like just going, ah! Like it was straight up like, like the Goku power up kind of yell sort of thing. But the point is that I put everything I had into it, and it was just one of those things where I was able to divert it and not basically make sure the boat didn't get wrecked. And at the end of it, I was like, that was the most manliest shit I've ever done. How about you, Mike? What do you got?
Well, anytime you're working with your hands, stuff like that, here's a manly, like you're building things out of nothing. You have something starting from nothing and it turns into something, that kind of thing. We got property up north, my wife's side of the family. We go up there and we farm and we plant corn and we plant and beans and stuff like that, and so you're just going out there working the land and stuff like that. I feel like that stuff's pretty manly, but my most manly moment, I would say, was when I was 15 years old, actually. I wasn't even a man yet, and bought a 1977 Volkswagen bus.
Oh my Lord, yes!
And I was like, I didn't want a normal car. I didn't want to buy my mother's Impala off of her or anything like that. That was an option. I was like, no, I want something. I either wanted a DeLorean or a Volkswagen bus. And I found out DeLoreans are not that reliable, and they're very tough to work on with the body made of. So I ended up finding a Volkswagen bus for $600, and this thing was just a heap of metal. It was just absolute garbage. And I went in there and said, how much for that van out there? And they said, you got to be kidding. They literally said, no, it's not really for sale. It's more of like just a kind of a showpiece. It's kind of just an old rusty. Well, how much for that bus? And it's $600. I bought it and took it home when I was 15 years old. And myself and my dad, we bought 2 instruction manuals, and we rebuilt that bus into, I would say, it was pretty darn good condition. Craig, what do you think? You've seen it.
I saw it, and I saw it attempt to run at least. I don't know how much. I never rode in the thing, but I remember it being.
It once we got it running, it wasn't very fast because the engine wasn't very big. But we rebuilt it and got it working. So 15. By the time I turned 16, I was able to drive it. That was one of my. Every time I drove that bus, I just felt like, I built this thing. So
I remember seeing it around town at times.
That's
I'd
awesome.
be like, there's Mike.
Oh yeah, it was hard to miss. It was lime green, looked like a mystery machine.
It did.
I saw that thing once. One of those. I think the night Brian kidnapped me from Craig at the football game. I think that's the only time I saw it. I was like, oh my god, that is awesome. And Brian was just like.
Yeah, well, I thought he should have got the Impala. It was one of those things. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get a Volkswagen. I'm like, why? There's perfectly good vehicles with front wheel drive that aren't Mystery Machine buses. And he's like, oh man, the best part is it's like $600. And I'm like, does it run? No. And I'm like, what a foolish move.
See, Mike gets it.
He did.
Mike gets it.
Yeah.
he found the thing that like just you're never really going to be able to do that again, type stuff. It's going to be a while before it's like, you know what, I can go through and I can buy this and I don't have to worry if it breaks down. It's not going to like, I'm not going to get fired from this job necessarally. And if I did, it's not a huge deal. You know, like that's the time to be able to go through and do those things.
It's the best learning experience I ever had. So, you know, because my dad is not a mechanic. He's more of a carpenter. So he was learning too, but, I ended up selling that bus I put about $3,000 into it and I sold it for about $5,000 and
nice.
And that's a lot of that money I used to buy my wife's engagement ring. So.
Nice.
I saw that van less than a month ago.
Yeah, so did I.
Really?
I actually saw it the other day, and I actually it was in a parking lot, and the guy who bought it was in it. I pulled over and talked to him for a while. He's like, yeah, I did this to it, I said, oh, yeah. Did you by chance buy that in Goodrich? He's like, yeah, I did.
Wow.
But I'll share one more story, guys. It's not necessarily a manly story. I guess it is, but went deer hunting up in Saskatchewan, north of Saskatchewan, about 4.5 hours north. Up in you lost signal, any sort of satellite or cell signal about an hour and a half north of town there. So we went about 3.5 hours past that, and we're up in the middle of nowhere. You get in you take a truck ride out to a spot in the middle of the woods. The guy's got a trailer behind him. Get on an ATV, take it into the bush, about 45-minute ATV ride, drops you off in a tent, basically, a little pop-up hunting blind. Drops you off, and he drives away. As you hear that ATV disappear, pitch dark out, mind you. It's like 4:30 in the morning. Hear that ATV disappear, and literally there's no planes, there's no road noise, there's absolutely nothing but silence. And it was one of those things where it's like, wow, this is really cool. And then you heard the coyotes and the wolves.
Yes.
And you hear the wolves and they're howling. You know, it sounds like, because it's so dead quiet, it sounds like they're right next to you. It's pitch dark. And that's when you're like, yeah, I'm manly. Then you're like, oh, crap. you're like, oh, crap. When's the sun going to come out? You know? But yeah. So, I mean, obviously I didn't encounter anything there, but I think they would have been more afraid of me than I would have been of them. But then again, that's just what you tell yourself when you're in the woods with wolves. So
yes.
Well, I mean, yes, that actually brings up a really interesting point. Then, what would you consider to be your least manly moment then?
Oh Lord,
I saved a kitten out of a tree.
No, that's kind of manly.
No, shit, that's
manly. That's manly.
I know. No, I was just making them.
I can do this. I actually thought of something that it's not necessarily, I don't know if you would consider it like quote manly, but it's more on the spectrum of manly than anything else I've really done. So if I did something that was extremely non-manly in the last little section there, I'll do this one this way. We went through and there's a road. I used to work road construction for the city of Auburn Hills. And at one point, basically me and there's another guy, we were seasonal employees. So we were just there during the summers in between school. And him and we were the ones set to basically go through and check on all the roads to make sure none of our signs had been taken down, none of the cones had been ripped, or, like making sure everything was good. Nobody was going where they weren't supposed to, making sure we weren't going to be in any trouble, because somebody took a cone away and now people think that's a lane and then they get to the end of it and wonder what the hell's happening because there's no road. So we go around every morning for about an hour and a half and we would do that. And so we'd go around and we do that, and we had a ton of cones with us. And then we were working on a road that they completely shut down for a while. Like we shut down, it was just a cross through road. So it was very easy to shut down and it wouldn't mess with anybody's drives or anything like that. And we shut it down. And then when we get there, we noticed that the guys, they have a truck. They've got one of the trucks there and they've got a trailer attached to it. And they've got cones set up in the middle of the road. And they're doing like a weave through the cones backwards with the truck and the thing. So they kind of set up an obstacle course to drive through with this truck, and they're going through it backwards. And so they're like, oh, and we'd been doing the job for a couple of years. It was like the third or fourth summer in a row I had been doing it, and same with the kid that was with me. So we show up and they're like, hey, Craig, Jay, do you guys want to try and get in on this? Like, yeah. And they had somebody with a stopwatch and they were timing it, and stuff like that. And I guess this would be the only thing that I could think of that's quote manly that I've done in my life. I actually won that. And this is with people that are like, they've been doing that job for years. And I went through and I won it by like a full second, and that's about it. But I actually won that, and I felt really good about myself after that. I was like, hell yeah, because I went through and I fucking slalomed backwards through that thing with the trailer on the back. And it was
awesome.
Granted, it was like a 30-foot trailer, and those are actually pretty decently easy to mess with. Because
the bigger they are, the easier. Normally.
So it wasn't too bad. It's not like I had like a little 10-foot guy in the back where I could have jackknifed it easy. So it was a 30-foot trailer, so it wasn't bad. But I went back through that, and I ended up winning that, and that felt pretty good.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
I got one, Brian. I got the answer for my least manly.
All right, let's hear it.
Was my wife and I went, and she says, "Let's go get a pedicure," and I said, "Okay," and sat down at the thing, and then she picks out her nail polish or whatever before, and I said, "No, I don't want any nail polish."
Why not?
But,
mistake.
But they did. They were working on it, and they're saying, to her, they said, "Oh, you take care of your feet." And then I looked at my lady, and she just was sitting her head face down, just grinding away. And I said, you don't have anything to say about my feet, huh? And she just looked up and looked back down and kept going. And then she asked, I couldn't understand her, honestly. There was a language barrier, this place that we were at. And she started talking. I couldn't understand her, so I just did. Remember what Dad used to do, Brian? If anyone doesn't know, Brian is my brother. But our father used to, and he couldn't hear someone or he didn't understand, he'd just say, yeah.
He still does that.
He
does.
That's how we ended up with 13 orders of fries at Wendy's one time.
That's true. But I kid you, that is true. That is true.
It is very true. They said, "Do you want fries with that?"
The waitress. Yeah, great. Yeah, sure. Supersize it. Yeah, whatever. Okay, sure.
Do you want supersize it? Yeah. Do you want fries? Yeah. Fries. Yep. So they kept putting fries on there. Anyways,
and he paid. He paid for it. He didn't even try to return it.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
that's one of my favorites. Hold on, real quick. That was one of my favorite segments of the when we did the 11th Moon podcast. Brian, was we'd have the Will stories like once every other week.
Oh,
that
Lord.
was one of my favorite segments, and that goes right with it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was so I inherited that trait. I found out because the lady language barrier was talking, and I said, yeah. And all of a sudden, I had seaweed wrapped around my legs and shit. And I didn't know what the hell. It ended up costing like triple. Because they're literally rubbing all this shit on me. I'm like, yeah. She's like, "What are you getting now?" I looked at her and said, "I don't freaking know. I have no idea." Yeah, that was probably the least manliest moment for me.
Wow. Oh my God.
Oh my Lord.
Oh man. I'd hope
Actually,
neither of us had inherited that trait.
And I'll have to say, it actually wasn't that bad. My feet felt the best they've ever felt after that.
Wow.
But then again, I don't know what the hell I
beautiful.
paid for. I probably paid for some steroid or something. I don't know.
Oh my God.
My gains in the weight room were amazing for the next week and a half.
I could squat a truck.
Got kicked off the tour, but who cares? My feet felt great.
Oh my God. Oh man.
Well, I guess I could follow that up with my least manly story, which was, and I actually made a tweet. I tweeted about it. This is a long time ago, but say it was a long time ago, early spring this year, but whatever. Point is that when I go running, I listen to all sorts of music, right? Whether it be Pandora, my personal music, whatever. But like one day, I just decided to go running, and in my head, I had the soundtrack to the play Wicked. I don't know if any of you have ever been to that play. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. And I pulled up the entire soundtrack to Wicked and ran to that while singing out loud because I knew all the words to all the songs. So I'm sitting there singing Defying Gravity while running down the street. And I'm like, this is the least manly thing anyone has ever done ever.
Bravo.
Oh my.
So yeah, I ran to show tunes. So that's my worst.
Okay. Took me a little bit to think about it, but I guess Mike's story kind of reminded me of mine. I was at the dentist, actually the dentist I go to now and absolutely love, and I'll tell you why. So the first time I went there, I hadn't been at the dentist in about 2 years, and they were like, okay, we're going to have to do x-rays, pictures, blah, 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 all this stuff, and then we'll do your cleaning. Okay. So they go, would you like a hot neck wrap with a scent of lavender? Why, yes, I would. That's my answer.
Absolutely.
So they put that back there, and I'm like, ooh, okay, what's next? like, are you sure this? Usually, this is like this old bald guy comes up and cleans my teeth. That's about what I get to see. So, anyways. Continue on. They take x-rays and whatnot, and they go, all right, well, we have to wait for the doctor for something. I was like, would you like your hands dipped in hot wax?
What?
Why, yes, I would.
Oh my God, I want to go to your dentist.
Are you sure you didn't go to a spa?
Yeah, really. I think
It was
you're in the wrong place, Burke.
It's called Hewitt Dental. Anyway, so needless to say, I got my hands dipped in hot wax. They were all nice and smooth, and while they're sitting there, like, well, we can change the TV on the wall for you for whatever you want, because they set me down in a different room, and I was like, no, this is fine. So I ended up sitting there for 30 minutes watching HGTV with my hands.
That was the channel you were watching on HGTV.
Oh my God.
What Burke didn't realize is the front says Hewitt Dental Spa, and the person's name is Hewitt Dental.
Yeah.
Yeah, So yeah, that's probably it for me right there.
Yeah, the masseuse kept wondering why you kept opening up your mouth, but
She's like, this guy's kind of weird.
yeah.
And they weren't taking x-rays. They were just literally snapping pictures of the guy with his mouth open. They're like, all right.
So what is it that makes, like, in your mind, just in your mind, what is something that, what are the traits of being, quote, manly? Like, if you were to sit there and define very rough traits of what the manly traits would be, if you were to describe them, like, what traits would those be?
Penis.
Well, I mean, from a medical standpoint, I suppose that is dead on. But I think what you're asking is more like about like the
persona of manliness,
the social aspect, almost like I gotcha. Well, I guess I mean, if I had to say like what constitutes being manly, I think the main thing that defines a man is like if they are protective. I know that sounds kind of weird, but maybe like in my head, guys are kind of protective of many things, whether it be of their possessions, their their wives, girlfriends, whatever. Like men, like who are manly, protect the things that they love. And that to me in my head is like, oh, that's what makes a man. It's like they're like, yeah, they're willing to do anything to protect what they love. Does that make sense?
I follow you.
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's like in my head. Like, I mean, I could say like this, like, oh man, do you even lift, bro? Like, but that's in my head.
See, that's where I come in. And I'm not saying that you're wrong or anything, but like in my head, that's not a quote manly thing. I'm not saying that's not something a quote manly man would not have. Like, oh, you can't be manly and do that. To me, that seems like just a family thing. Like that, just a deep love would be what you would want to do to protect, any of your family members in any sense. So I don't necessarily connect that with manliness. Like if I were to connect just manliness, it'd be kind of more of like what Mike was talking about earlier in terms of what made him feel like a man. It'd be like putting together my own car or building this with my bare hands, type thing.
Sure.
Like that, those are the things that like would pop up in my head and be considered the quote manly, the manly things, things of that nature, things that I knew that I didn't do as a kid growing up, which is why I never considered myself like manly in any sense. It was just like, oh yeah, people that are, doing this with their car, they're working on their own car and they're building the shed for themselves and they're doing all this other stuff. Like that was,
do you feel like you missed a rite of passage or something like that?
Yeah, to a point I do. To a point, I feel like there was a lot of stuff that I missed out on that would be a social aspect, because there's so many things that all three of you guys know inherently because you grew up with doing types of stuff like that, and I have absolutely no idea about it, like how to do it, or I can look it up on Google. I mean, like, just to give you an idea of like what my family thinks of me is they sat there and like they doted on me for about 2 days because I changed my own car battery. That's like, you take off two things, you move the battery, you put the other battery in, you put the two things back on, ta-da! Like, it wasn't that difficult, but it was like they were astounded for days that I was able to do that by myself. Like, so if that gives you an
ticker tape parade for changing your battery.
So if that gives you an idea of like where I was when I grew up, like that was the idea. I was like, holy crap, how'd you know how to do that?
So were they clapping because they themselves don't know how and they were impressed that you figured it out?
Both.
Or
both.
Because does anyone else in your family, would they have the skills to do that?
Skills, they could easily do it if they just looked it up. Like, I mean, obviously, like I had to look it up because I didn't want to break anything in my vehicle. It's not like I wanted to go back out and buy a new vehicle.
Yeah,
I wanted to look up. Go ahead.
How did that make you feel though? Even though it's something small, how did it make you feel when you were done and you were going in to wash your hands off? How'd that make you feel?
And the car cranked.
And the car worked. Yeah, it worked. And then you're saying, okay, I did it. Close the hood and you go to wash your hands. How'd it feel?
Relieved as all shit that it works.
Okay.
Relieved and then proud, maybe?
No, I didn't really feel proud. And then it felt more of condescending when they were like, oh, he did it. I was like, thanks, guys. Thanks for thinking I wouldn't be able to figure something out.
I gotcha.
I think it's the way you're looking at it then, Craig, because that's kind of the thing is that no matter how big or small it is, you're out there working with your hands and you're doing it, right? You're doing something, you're building something, you're fixing something. No matter how big or small it is, making fire. How weird that is, but no matter how big or small it is, I mean, it's the way that you perceive it. So if you don't perceive that as being manly, then obviously it's not that to you. But I mean, just those little things like that to some people are a big deal. So
see, and I'm going to argue not with Mike, but argue with Mike for Craig on this one. Every year you order the most stupid thing from Amazon or wherever, a noodle, and you put it on a bar to make this awesome footrest for you under your desk.
my duct tape a noodle footrest.
That right there makes you a man.
Yeah,
because you took like the most, a toy, and you made it actually useful and comfortable for yourself. That's working with your hands. So
see, this is where I would think about it, where like if it was you, Burke, in my head, you would have crafted this like elegant oak somehow like perfectly leather cushion. Yeah, basically like underneath there, and it would have been that, and mine looks like utter trash down there because it's literally duct tape keeping this thing to my desk, because I've got this, it's not a footrest, it's just like part of the supports for the desk that, one of the cross supports. And so I literally buy a pool noodle, I cut a portion of it, like I just make a line long wise, I don't know what the word for that would be. I just cut it so because there's the big hole in the middle, so I cut one portion of it so I can wrap it around there, and then I just duct tape it because otherwise, if I put my feet on there, it will eventually roll off. It just looks like duct. It's just
that's awesome.
Duct tape down there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty slick.
That's awesome. That's legit. So let's see here. So I don't remember what we were talking about.
What makes a man?
What makes a man? So I'm going to kind of argue in the middle, or kind of both points that what Craig and you, Brian, were talking about, and say, take away technology, take away all of the comforts we have, and what makes you being a man is, yes, being able to use your hands and function in whatever society that is. Hopefully it doesn't go down like the Walking Dead path, like take zombies out of it and they're like living in this world where it's survival. Like let's say we have communities, but you're still having to work with your hands. You're doing all this stuff but while you're doing that, you have to protect what is yours, because we don't have the law and the, because I think our society would break down pretty quickly. So you do have that I guess that love that Brian was talking about, or that protection, is wanting to be able to protect what is yours. Because if you can't protect that, if you don't have that in you, someone's going to steal it from you.
Exactly.
Like, so that's where I kind of see, yes, both of you are completely correct on that. Because I think that's where that comes from. You know, strip society away, next day it's gone. What I'm going to protect is my wife, what I own, and what I have fiercely.
You know, Burke, you actually reminded me of a famous quote with that. And that is, the more you know, the less you need. And so, like, as you said, like with the stripping down of society and all that sort of thing, that's like that quote just sprang right to my mind.
Yep. Anyways, that's
so all of your points as well. I agree. But I also, manliness and gentlemanliness. Is that a word?
It is now.
It is now.
I'll accept it.
That I think those two go hand in hand as well. And a man, you know, you think, you know, big, strong, you know, the nerd on the beach building the sandcastle, and the big guy comes, kicks it down. Like, that's, to me, it's like, okay, that's one person's perception of being a more manly than someone else. But I think being a gentleman, and it's not just women and stuff like that. It's just being a nice person, but also being a guy, right? You can hold a door for another man, but just being a nice person, I think that goes hand in hand with being manly in my mind.
Cheers to that, sir.
Yeah, a little chivalry action.
Yes.
I mean, that's what that is. It's, yeah, a little bit of chivalry. And now that we've kind of had a chance to talk about chivalry and manliness and all that fun stuff, I'm going to go ahead and quiz you guys on it with an amazing quiz.
Woo! Yay! Get
About
the quiz.
females.
About estrogen.
It's like everything. It's like college. I didn't even study for this one.
Well, the good thing is you're going to have one chance to study, because first we're going to take a quick break.
Hey, Bert.
Hey, Brian.
I'm kind of bored.
Me too.
Man, if only I had something to do at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. Michelle, can you help us out?
I got something for you guys.
Yeah.
You can come right over to our new Twitch channel, Get Dunked On Podcast, where we are all going to hang out and chat while we play video games.
I love them video games. Cortana.
And of course, that must cost a high fee, don't it?
No, this is the best part. You are all welcome to attend for absolutely nothing.
Woohoo!
Can I join?
No.
What about me?
Absolutely.
All right.
For more information, you should go over to getdunkedonpodcast.com.
And we're back. Before we start this quiz, I'd like to say, hi, Scott. Sitting right next to you. Look at me, I'm waving. Hi.
I hope you forget to wave.
I probably will. I'll probably get up to go to the bathroom or something like that and walk out while it's playing.
I'm just picturing his mind being blown at the moment.
No, he's sitting there trying to look at you, just looking around. He's like, is he watching me right now? He's not even in here.
Oh, geez. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into the quiz. The order today is going to be Burke, Craig, and then Mike, because he is the guest. He gets to go last.
Ooh.
And
So nice.
Shockingly, I know, this quiz is all about men, being manly men. So I'm going to go ahead and read my introduction, which is Manly Men of the World. Welcome to the manliest quiz of your lives. Today I will quiz you on all things that are man. So number one.
I are man.
I are man, hear me man. Number one, growing a beard is essential for every man to do at least once in their life. What is the longest record beard length? So what is the longest beard length, recorded beard length?
What is the...
Gandalf.
What is the... I might argue Dumbledore for going
The
that way.
unit of measure?
No, that's true.
Yeah, what is the unit of measure?
Feet. Please do it in feet.
Feet. Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna go with.
Is this Price is Right rules?
Not Price is Right rules, just closest one to it. If you go over and are still closest, it's okay.
Okay, closest to.
It's closest to. We usually do closest to, and then if it's tied, then it's Price is Right. The person that did not go over one wins.
Roger.
Yep. I'll go with 4 feet.
4 feet.
I'm going to do 11 feet.
11 feet from Craig.
We'll go 5.5.
5.5. Well, the answer is 17 feet.
Jeez.
Holy.
So 17 feet, and it is currently being stored at the Smithsonian Museum.
That's nasty.
That's right. That's right. What happened was the guy had the
How?
17-foot beard. He passed away, and so upon his request, he was shaved, and the beard was donated to the Smithsonian.
He passed away by tripping on it and falling down the stairs.
Just broke his neck, I guess.
How was it that long?
I'm guessing just never shaved throughout his entire
Yeah.
life.
But okay.
Wow.
Did he like
I
have it like
he had to have
rolled
like
up?
he had to have it in a bun or something.
Yeah. Dude, he's tying it in a knot. He's tying it in a bow.
he can keep his pants up with that. Like,
And have left over for a
I'm
scarf.
saving a fortune on belts.
Who needs suspenders?
Oh,
Beard
God.
suspenders. It goes in a loop, goes around back, ties up there, goes back over the shoulder.
Oh,
The
for
ultimate
sure.
hipster, the ultimate hipster wear. Okay,
That's wonderful.
Oh God! All right, number 2. Do you even lift, bro? If you did, then you know that the only lift that matters is bench press. So the most manly man in the world of lifting must be a guy named Ryan Kennelly, who pressed blank in November 8th, 2008. So what is the biggest bench press ever recorded?
In pounds.
In pounds, please.
Gallons?
I don't even know what a good bench press is. I'm not a man. 350 pounds.
Okay, and
Oh,
please keep
Jesus.
in mind, just a little heads up to you guys. I don't know whether it was tool assisted or not. I assume it is, and by that I mean bench shirts and that kind of thing. So he probably did have one of those on.
It was a tool assisted speed run. He slowed down the
Exactly.
frames.
I put it in tool assisted because I know I knew you know what that meant.
I'm gonna go with. I might be on the high side here, but I'm gonna go with 750.
750.
It's 9. Nope. Yeah, 975 is my guess.
Mike is the closest at 1,075 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be close to 1,000.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was sub. I thought it was sub 1K.
So did I, but I know for a fact your old one of our old football coaches used to do like 800.
Oh, I forgot
Bruce
about that.
Edwards used to do that.
Yeah, Edwards
He
used to do
be
that.
able to. He did the world bench press competitions. I knew he was at least 800, so that's what I was guessing that.
That's a good point. I forgot about that.
wow. That's
Drawing on that
Gallons?
prior knowledge.
That's a
44
that's a lot of
gallons
weight.
of milk.
Gallons. Oh,
Go
God.
back
All
to
right,
the
we're
old
reading up.
milk commercials.
Yeah, those are super quotable milk commercials. Number 3. Men seem to have thicker skin about some things, but the truth is that we actually do. A man's skin can be up to blank millimeters thicker than a woman's.
Millimeters?
Yes. So it's a very small number. So how much thicker can a man's skin be than a woman's?
Holy crap.
This is tough.
2.
I know. 2.
I'm gonna go with 11 millimeters.
11 millimeters. You guys know
Yeah,
what a millimeter
Craig.
is, right?
Yeah.
And you, Craig.
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 3.
3. So I think Burke was the closest. The answer is 0.2.
Well, that's
0.2
what-
millimeters
That's
thicker.
what I said. Said 0.2. Maybe my voice gate caught it.
Yeah,
Damn,
men's
Burke.
skin is actually it is thicker than women's. I did not know that. I thought that was kind of an interesting fun fact for you guys. So,
Maybe that's why my wife's always freezing.
oh God, this is getting into a territory. It's Craig's therapy session for the week.
You just need to get her a 0.2 millimeter blanket.
No, you're where I'm at.
You're
Now we're
welcome.
even.
Oh God. Number 4. Guys tend to die quicker than women. That's just a fact. But counter to that, nature has made it so that for every 100 baby girls that are born, there are how many baby boys? Hint, there is not that big of a gap. So for every 100 baby girls, there are how many baby boys born?
111.
111 from birth.
I'm going with 100.11.
God damn.
100.11 from Craig.
I was trying to be a bastard to Craig, and it failed.
Oh God. 105.
105. Mike gets it. The answer is 107. 107. Ironically, though, it's because boys die so quickly, and overall the population is still like the difference is only by 1 instead of the 6. Or sorry, the 7. There's a 6 difference or a 1 difference. It's in that one. So
okay,
we do more stupid things. That's why.
Yeah.
Apparently we take more risks, and they don't pan out all the time.
Well, most of those deaths start with "Watch this, hold my beer."
Yeah, exactly. Check this out. Oh God. Number 5. Looking at just the U.S., what is the average height of men? Now, for an additional point, you can also guess for what is the average. Let's say, what is the average male weight? So there's 2 points available on this question: 1 for the height, 1 for the weight.
5'8.5" for the height, and 195 pounds.
5'8", 160.
5'9", 175.
5'9", and then 175. So the answer is 5'9". So 5'9" is the height. The weight, though, is 190.
Oh,
so 190.
Was this American men?
This is just the U.S. Looking at just the U.S.
Yeah,
Dang, I should have known that.
I said that at the beginning.
I know. I just didn't factor it in. I was still going
That's
off
me
world
being a
statistics.
guy and not paying attention. Yeah.
he's gonna get a seaweed wrap by the end of this because he's not gonna pay attention.
Yeah. Keep going. What's the question? Keep going.
Question number 6. What is the average attention span of a man?
Not as long as it takes Brian to read the question, apparently.
Did I get the point for that?
You got a point for that, yes.
Woohoo.
Oh, and does the other point go to me or no?
Yes, the other point goes to Burke, yes.
Okay, wanted to make sure because I gave it to myself.
Yep. So number 6. According to Ron Burgundy, men have much bigger brains when compared to women. Oddly enough, he's actually right. Men's brains are 10% larger than women's on average. But why is that? So why are men's brains 10% larger than women's?
Science. That was good. Testosterone.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go with the cavity in the skull is bigger, so it just fills out more.
Oh, okay.
Ego. I'm gonna go with the. Well, mine was kind of like Craig's. I guess I can't do that one. Good. I was gonna say thinner skulls, but that might. Yeah, I'm gonna go with thinner skulls. Alec.
Okay, well, and unfortunately, nobody's going to get the point in this one. Nobody was in the ballpark for it to work there. The answer is because men's larger muscle mass requires neurons to control the body, forcing the brain to be bigger than women's. The average male has about 50% more muscle mass and 50% less body fat than the average adult female. So to compensate, the brain has to be 10% bigger to basically make sure that we can use all of our motor functions. So
Cool.
That was that one.
Oh, interesting.
That's awesome.
Right?
I like that.
Fascinating.
That interesting science fact is followed up by school is for nerds. As manly men, we know that they can't teach us anything, right? Well, maybe that's why men are blank times more likely to drop out of school than girls. Way more men drop out of school than women.
Are we asking for a percentage here?
I'm asking for how men are blank times more likely. Yes.
1.5.
1.5 from Burke.
I'm gonna go with 3.11.
I was gonna say 3. I'm gonna say 4.
And Mike gets the point. It is 4 times.
I like this going last business.
4 times. Absolutely.
I was on the dot.
Yeah, you
That's
nailed
a big
it.
number.
It is.
Is that
right?
worldwide?
Yeah, I was gonna guess 5 and be stupid. Like I was gonna do 5.11. But I was like, that's way too much.
I wasn't thinking. Was that worldwide?
Guys just like to bail.
Well,
They're just like, nah, man, we're 4 times more likely than women to leave.
Well, and probably because it goes back to we got to actually make a living and then we find a girl and we're like, okay, we got to be successful.
I don't know.
They didn't give specific reasons as to why, but
probably not.
So number 8, and this is actually good because all 3 of you are married. So as married men, you may kiss your wife as you leave for work. Studies have shown that men who do this have a higher blank than a guy who doesn't. So if you kiss your wife as you, or I guess she in your Craig's case, leaves for work. Studies show that men who do this have a higher blank than a guy who doesn't.
Hi, is it one word?
Yes.
I
mean, you can just fill it in there with whatever you got.
a higher. No, I don't even know what to say.
It's very weird. The wording is very strange.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. If you want to say 2 words, and then if you're in the ballpark, I'll end up giving it to you. So
a higher. You said higher.
Higher. Studies have shown that men who do this have a higher blank than a guy who doesn't.
Libido.
Levels of empathy.
Levels of empathy. Okay.
Good answer. I'm going to totally reword your answer and say they're less likely to get divorced.
Okay, so unfortunately, none of you are going to be able to get the point on this one. The answer is income. Guys who kiss the girls as you leave for work, or I guess in Craig's case, they leave for work. They have a higher income than guys who don't.
That might make sense because get it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why they did the study and that's what it came back with. So kind of weird.
My wife always leaves.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My wife leaves before I do.
Yeah, I know.
She leaves at like 4 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe those people, their wives are home because they're making more money. That makes more sense.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
My wife's gone by the time I wake up.
Yep. Same here.
Oh God, maybe I asked the wrong question for the wrong group, but that's all right.
So if your wife kisses you when she leaves, does that mean she makes more money than you?
They didn't go into that, but I'll assume yes.
Answer the question.
Let's just say yes. The answer to all that is a wizard did it, so yes. Number 9. Speaking of the ladies, according to Cosmo's list of 15 things women do that turn men off, number 1 is blank. Hint, none of the 15 were physical traits. Hashtag men are not shallow as the media says we are. It's not a physical thing that these women do that turn men off. What is the number 1 thing that turns men off to women?
The number 1.
What's the worst thing they can do?
Let's go with put them down.
Okay, if the woman puts the man down.
I'm going to go with make more money than the guy.
Ooh, okay. Makes more money.
Oh, Lord.
So this is the biggest turnoff that women do.
Play better basketball.
I
have no
like
idea. No clue.
Ding, 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 ding.
I'm going to go ahead and say he hit it on the nose, but no, it's not being honest. So essentially lying. If a woman lies, it's the number 1 turnoff for men. According to Cosmo, of course.
Okay.
You know,
good answer.
The good answer. All right. Number 10 should be an easy one for you guys. You ready?
No.
All right. In 2015, when little kids were asked what they wanted to be when they grew up, the majority of girls said they wanted to be a doctor, while the overwhelming majority of boys said blank. So when little kids were asked what they wanted to be when they grew up, little girls wanted to be a doctor, little boys wanted to be blank.
A pilot.
A
Firefighter.
Firefighter.
I was little. I wanted to be a fire truck, but I couldn't do that.
They told me I could be anything.
The guys wanted to be accountants. No, I'm just joking. Guys obviously wanted to be an astronaut.
Astronaut was actually number 2 or 3 in the list, but the number 1 answer was professional athlete.
That was my second guess.
That was my first guess, but I went with my second. Damn it.
A professional athlete. That's what little kids, when they were asked, they go, yeah, I want to be a professional athlete. It's like, oh, Billy, you have no chance. But number 11, according to multiple lists on multiple sites, when asked to rank the most manly man in American history, one stood above the rest time and time again. Who is considered to be the most manly man in American history? Hint, it's not Craig.
No, what year did this poll take place, did you say?
I don't. It was literally like 5 or 6 different polls from different sites, and it was just basically rating like manly men in American history.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And his name is John. Okay. No. Let's go with.
I will say American history.
Yeah, I know.
If that helps.
Got my answer. Want me to go first?
You want to?
Or how does that work? If you think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you think you know it, then go last.
Okay.
Is this an actual person, or is it like?
Yes, these are non-fictional people that were ranked in this. This was strictly related to just people who are considered manly in American history.
I was gonna go Paul Bunyan. Damn it.
Yes, because we all think of Paul Bunyan and his big blue.
The funny thing is, that was the first thing that came to my head too.
No, it was not.
I'm dead serious. Paul Bunyan was the first thing that came to my head.
What's the matter with you guys? Like, chopping down giant trees.
This is a recent poll. Kenneth Bone.
Let's go with. Frick, I don't even know.
Just think American history, and then you can
I
just
know.
kind of pick somebody.
There's so many names going through my head. Let's just go with George Washington.
That was my initial answer, so I'm gonna have to change that now.
You can guess the same thing if you want.
I know, but I want to try and get the point, and more than likely, Ben Franklin.
Okay.
Alexander Hamilton.
That was actually the other name that came in my head.
That's the first thing that popped in my head was Alexander Hamilton.
Can I change my answer?
If you want.
I'm going to go with Davy Crockett.
Good answer.
Actually, his first one would have been right. The answer was George Washington.
Damn
Alexander Hamilton was the most badass.
And the answer is, and you're like, no, wait, let me change it. I'm like, well, that's a bad choice, but okay.
Davy Crockett is so much manlier.
Hey, I
wanted to say Chuck Norris until you said American history, and you're emphasizing history. I was like, well, I can't do Chuck Norris.
Teddy Roosevelt, which was shocking because he was like he was the one who I would have chosen. Like, if I think of American history, like badasses, it's him. But anyway,
the rest of us don't have history minors.
I'll give you Teddy Roosevelt. He is badass. Dude, have you read a lot of his books? Have you read some of his?
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
They're amazing books.
All right, we're gonna go into number 12. Number 12. Everyone loves an underdog story, especially men. The Miracle on Ice, the Giants beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and of course, the truest American hero, underdog of all time, Rocky. But in 1990, a true Rocky moment shook the world of boxing when the heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson, lost to blank. So we got to guess the person who he lost to. When the odds against him were 42-1, making it one of the biggest upsets of all time.
I got it.
Muhammad Ali.
Okay, Burke guesses Muhammad Ali.
Sheesh, I do not know anything about boxing.
Me neither.
Hey, this is a man quiz, man.
I'm going to go with Hitmonchan.
Ooh, good answer.
Good answer.
It was actually Buster Douglas.
That is correct. Buster Douglas.
Oh.
Yeah, he beat him 42-1 odds. It was one of the biggest upsets in all of sports history.
Wow.
Hitmonchan's the one with the boxing gloves, right?
Yes. Yes. I mean, Hitmon Lee is the kicking one, so you did good. Number
That's
13.
A Pokemon.
No, he's an MMA fighter.
Now he's an MMA, absolutely. Number 13. There's a graphic novel called Why the Last Man. Have you guys ever heard of that, first of all? That's not the question. I'm just asking.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
Did I get that right?
No, it's okay. I'll explain it.
Do I get a point?
I just said it was that. Oh, god dang. So there's a graphic novel called Why the Last Man. It follows the last male human as he navigates a post-apocalyptic world where every male of all species has mysteriously died. He travels along with an animal companion who is also male, making it the last non-human animal alive. What animal is his companion? Now, if none of you, since you guys have never have heard of it, I will give you the hint that I have available, which is this would be most guys' top tier pick.
A dog.
I was gonna go with the dog.
Okay. If you say I'm just gonna go ahead and restate it all. It's the last male walking around. He's got a animal companion with him. What is that animal?
It is a hawk.
Ooh, good guess. But the answer is
Falcon?
monkey. He's a monkey, guys. Come on, it's a top tier pick for a companion to walk around in a wasteland. A
top-tier
monkey.
pick is
Are you kidding me?
A top tier pick is a dog.
What?
But
Is a dog
I was-
Monkeys are terrible.
Monkeys
or a
are
horse?
loyal. Did you never watch Ace Ventura?
Brian,
Monkeys
he's
are not
sure
loyal.
you're kicked
They are
off.
the opposite of loyal.
No.
Brian got
you're kicked off.
the podcast.
Bullshit.
Brian, you're off the
No,
podcast.
No, you're all kicked off, and I'm going to doing a podcast with the monkey because a monkey is the best companion ever.
Monkeys are terrible
you
companions.
kidding me?
After year 2 or 3, they are just the biggest shits ever.
Well, specifically, it's a capuchin monkey, but that doesn't matter. But the point is that it's awesome.
Give
all
me
right.
a horse or a dog any day.
Oh, horse is so much better.
Oh.
That is a great one.
I
good
almost,
one.
I almost
because
changed my answer to a
horses
horse.
are like just really big dogs.
They are, yeah. But when he said this is
Horses
what
are big dogs.
when he said this is the top tier choice, I'm like, it's a dog.
Oh yeah, when he
This
said
would
that,
be
my
most
mind
guys'
immediately
top
went
tier
dog.
pick. Most guys want to chill with the monkey.
I want everybody to write in that's listening to this. Go to
Everybody.
our Twitter at Get Dunked On Pod.
Would you rather
Please.
hang out? Would you rather chill with a horse or a monkey?
Yeah, just
dog
send us
Or a dog, or any other animal for
or
that matter.
anything. Monkey versus anything else.
Monkey wins because it's a monkey. Like, are
Oh
you
my god,
kidding me?
monkeys are terrible.
Bullshit.
It's like a goldfish.
A monkey in a post-apocalyptic world how would be so useful, dude.
That's very true because you could at least leave the goldfish there and it's just gonna die eventually. The monkey could stay with you and steal your shit.
He steal other people's shit because he's your pal, dude. Think Abu. Think Abu.
You keep bringing up fictional characters.
Well, this guy is in a fictional world, asshole, so it works.
He must have been one of those street guys that has like a capuchin
Street
monkey
rat.
for.
He actually was, yes. That was his background story, is that he was an amateur
Oh.
escape artist. But anyway, fine,
Terrible.
whatever. We're
Terrible.
moving on. You know, you guys
Horrible.
all suck. You guys all suck. It was clearly
Give me dog or give me big dog. AKA horse.
give me dog or give me rideable dog.
Yeah, give me dog or rideable dog. I want one of those two.
Oh my god, you guys are the worst. All right, number 14. Although you wouldn't find it in the Guinness Book of World Records, blank holds the world record for the largest number of beers consumed in a single sitting. These were standard 12-ounce bottles of beer, nothing fancy, but during a 6-hour period, he drank 119 of them. Now, if nobody has any guesses, I do have a hint, but I'm
We're
going to
supposed
wait.
to. I'm confused. We're supposed to guess.
The person who consumed
I'll
all
go
that
last.
beer.
I'll go last.
Do you actually think you know what it is?
I do. I'll go last.
Okay, then I won't give the hint then.
Um,
Or I guess I should give the hint to
Yeah,
kind of
give us
balance
the
it
hint.
out. The hint is he was a professional wrestler.
Yeah, yeah, this is
John Cena.
John Cena.
That's all I know.
Do.
Well, if we're talking wrestlers, Stone Cold and Steve Austin used to drink the beers on the stage and all that stuff, or in the ring. But I'm gonna go with Andre the Giant.
Would
Okay.
anybody like a peanut?
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Right.
Andre the Giant. It's Andre the Giant.
Yeah, it is. It's Andre the Giant.
You had to give that
I would
stupid
not have
hint
given
away.
it. I
Well,
would not
the
have
thing
got
wa-
that.
I was muted and I was going, no, I know it. Why would you give them a hint? You said if no one knows it, they get. I'll give the hint.
Because he knows the score in regardless. You're still gonna lose.
Yeah, but I would have gotten 1 point.
You still got a point.
And no one else would have gotten the point, and I would have gotten 1 point.
I changed my answer to Stone Cold Steve
George
Austin.
Washington.
So this is kind of interesting. Craig got the first question and the last question.
No, there's one more.
Oh, there's
That's
one
14.
more.
There is the
Oh, that is
number
14.
15.
Dadgummit.
Yeah.
Nope, there's no more questions. Or else it doesn't count.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, number
Dadgummit.
15. And lastly, when a man meets a woman on a blind date, statistically, what is the first thing that he'll be looking at? So when a man meets a woman on a blind date, statistically, what's the first thing that he's going to be looking at?
Hair.
Hair from Burke.
I'm going with eyes.
Eyes from Craig.
I'm gonna go with. I was gonna say eyes, but I'm gonna go with smile.
The answer is smile.
Ah, that was the fucking second.
So that's it.
Wow.
That's all 15 questions. I sure hope we don't have a tie this week because I don't have any more left.
No, we have a tie between Craig and myself.
Okay, so what are the
with,
totals?
2.
Solid.
How far ahead was Mike?
Mike is definitely a man. He almost got half the questions right with 7.
Wow.
I'm never gonna be invited back now. I should have got some. Should have tanked a little bit. Going last is definitely an advantage. I'll tell you that.
It really
Oh,
is.
it's definitely an advantage.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. It kind of is one of those little like safety bubbles that you have the ability to kind of go, hey, it's like whatever you say plus 1.
Yeah. Dear Lord. Brian screwed me like 94 times out of it.
Oh yeah, and I did it last week to Brian. So
It's a
bad.
continuous circle of
It
people
is a
screwing each
cycle.
other over.
I think that's why we're going to start having to do a rotation.
Oh, yeah.
Of basically is what it is. But you know what? Regardless, the fact that Mike just totally is the man of all mans, and we only have 2 points, and we're girly man. We all know Brian is the one who got dunked on worst with that stupid monkey.
Oh my God, yes.
Screw you guys.
Jesus, just get dunked on, Brian.
Your monkey got dunked on.